In what has become a Halloween tradition in Baltimore, the 7th annual KidsPeace Trick-or-Trot is this Saturday, co-sponsored by the Orioles and Orioles Reach, and of course, Buck and Angela Showalter. And Angela joins us now on the telephone. And of course, as you look at the, we're looking at some video of some of the past events, Angela, and obviously very well attended, and the participation of the Orioles certainly brings out lots and lots of fans.
We've been so fortunate. We've had, even one year we even had snow, believe it or not, and each year it's grown tremendously. So we are, awful appreciative to, of course, the great Oriole fans, because it has become an event where families come and they get to, finish the walk or the run on the outfield warning track, which is, something that, when, like somebody like Buck, you're on that field every day, you forget what a highlight that is for a lot of people.
Well, Angela, you've been involved with KidsPeace for a long, long time. Explain to the viewers exactly what KidsPeace is.
KidsPeace is it's a over 130 years old organization, which is, first time I heard the name, I was like, how have I never heard of this? And it is an organization that is a foster care. We delivers the needs of kids in foster care, and which is therapeutic foster care. And of course, when you say therapeutic, you kind of go, oh, what that kind of maybe raises a red flag to some people. But obviously, if a child's been in foster care, they've experienced or been exposed to some things that they're going to need some assistance and some care. And so we really focus on those needs, and it's very understandable because, let's face it, these kids, not only do they are moved away from their home, sometimes they leave a beloved pet and whatever reasons they are removed from, and they're placed into, a group home, and then, trying to get them ready for a foster care parent if they go from a group home, that sort of thing. So it's a very sad way to have to live, and we're trying to make it the best for them that can be possible. We are in dire need of foster parents. The other thing that we really focus on are kids when they age out of foster care. In the state of Maryland, it's 21. Well, that's a lot to wrap your arms around, to think, okay, at 21, you're basically out on the street. You don't have, to apply for college, it costs money. To even take standardized testing to get into college, it requires money. So we do classes, and the Orioles have been great. The kids come and do a shadowing there so they can get exposed to other ideas for job opportunities. We show them how to save, invest money, put it in a bank account to get them ready for when they are out on their own at 21. Today it just kind of struck me. I'm thinking, just for the food, when your kids go to college, they have meal plans. These kids don't have any plan in life.
Well, given how intensely you're involved in this, I'm just curious, do you have some personal experience with foster children?
I actually do. As a child, my parents took in kids, not for a very long time, but on respite care, which was on the weekends. They would go and pick up. We had I remember one young man especially, and then there was a young lady. But the young man, I remember him more than anything, and I was probably maybe 12 years old at the time. And it's one of the things I realize now that impacted my life more than we probably ever impacted his life. To see, to go pick up this little boy and to have everything he owned in a pillowcase. I remember that. And some of these kids have everything now, and they bring it in a garbage bag, which is not a way to go through life. And so it was just one of the things I had experienced growing up, and remember taking him back on a Sunday evening to this group home that he lived in, which is kind of like living in your elementary school or something. It's just not, it was just a really, really hard thing to wrap your arms around and think about having to live like that.
Well, all proceeds of this event will benefit KidsPeace Foster Care. Fans can register at Orioles.com/KidsPeace. And Angela, we thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and we appreciate all your promoting of the race. We couldn't do it without you guys.
All right, thanks a lot. We move from Mrs. Showalter to Mr. Showalter, the current manager of the Baltimore Orioles, and obviously another guy who's very involved with the whole KidsPeace event. Now, Buck, we just showed some video from the past event where you had a cane. You're not going to use a cane this year for old time's sake, are you?
Maybe I should. I mean, that was part of my costume. You know, everybody can wear a costume. It's really entertaining. People have this great imagination with some of the costumes. And I remember the first year we had the guy that dressed as Matt Wieters, and his wife came actually fake pregnant because Matt's wife, Maria, was pregnant. It was unbelievable, some of the imagination. It makes you realize how much knowledge they have of our club and what's going on in each guy's life. How about my wife? Is she something?
Absolutely.
Pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
She takes a lot of pride in being able to impact. Like we say many times, that there's no way we'll ever be able to impact this community like it's impacted our lives, but you try as you may. So it was very important to her when we got here. She did a lot of time, and there's a lot of great charities out there, but something that was very close to her heart that she had a real passion for. And you know, quite frankly, guys, I'm just following her lead and trying to help any way I can, but I'm really proud of her and the impact this has had on a lot of young people.
Well, the World Series is going on, and while I think the locals would certainly rather see a different team representing the American League, do you have any thoughts on how it's going between the Cubs and the Indians?
Well, you know, I watched last night, obviously with the sound off, and I didn't watch, you know, it's kind of painful for everybody because somebody's doing something. You know, people at this level, the players, they reach a point in life where they want to participate instead of watch. And maybe it's a bad loser or just sulking, but it's very painful for all of us to watch, knowing that you put that much time and effort and so many decisions and things go on during the course of a season for players and coaches and managers and general managers and fans, and then have it end so abruptly. It's a real cruel, knowing that only one team's going to be really happy. But it seems to be a great matchup, and obviously I'm biased. I'm pulling for the American League and Terry and them because, you know, it's just what we do in the American League. And but it's great for baseball. I think it shows that you know, there's different ways to get it done. Cleveland's a lot like Tampa a few years back, eliminated a lot of excuses people have about payrolls. And, you know, the Cubs are the Cubs. We know what that would mean to baseball and that fan base.
Buck, you talk about how it's been a couple of weeks and the season ended very cruelly. Now that you've had a few weeks off from the season, can you reflect on the Orioles season? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, Mel, it a little bit. You know, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. Instead of, you know, I try to dwell on all the great things and how much it meant for our fans and organization to have another competitive year and get in the playoffs again. But, you know, you get a chance to roll the dice there, and it stings. I mean, it cuts deep. And, you know, spring training is about the only thing that kind of gets it started again. You know, we're doing a lot of work here. I'm in Baltimore, obviously. You know, we're thinking about it. We have to get a new pitching coach and some other things we have to stay on top of. It just, you know, you try to stay so involved in the evolving baseball world in the off-season because there's so many things going on. When the World Series is over, you better have your ducks in a row because it's going to move real fast, and you better have a plan. You better have some direction on how you want to do things to keep this competitive club engaged in the competition. And it's hard. I mean, this is you know, there's 30 teams in the world, and it's tough. You know, there's very good baseball people, and it can be very fleeting, and it can be very cruel, but it can also be very rewarding. And it's tough to reflect back and remember all the rewarding things and how many great moments we had this year, you know, when it gets ended so quickly.
Buck, you talked about reflecting back, and clearly there were a lot of really good things that happened throughout the course of the season, individually and team-wise, which is most important, of course. Is there anything that you could kind of share with us right now that kind of gives us an idea of what direction you're going to try to go in the offseason to maybe specifically, you know, get better in one position or another?
Well, Dave, you know, it's you know, I sat down, I was talking with Dan today. We were interviewing some people and Brady, and there's a lot of things that I think and we think are obvious, but it's got to be a fit. You know, there's a lot of other teams trying to do it. You know, we're always going to look from within and make sure. You know, I'm headed out to Arizona Fall League here shortly to see Stephon Crichton and Lorenzo. He's left now. Tanner Scott, Yacobonis, Marine, Stewart, Wins. I mean, you want to make sure that some of the answers aren't in your own backyard. But, you know, you look at our club and you see, okay, we've scored X number of runs compared to everybody else. there's some different things we'd like to do. We're always going to attack defensively and make sure that we're above average in that capacity. But you also want to take what you were good at and make sure you continue to be good at it. You know, our bullpen's been a real consistent thing for us over the years, but you've got to make sure that you're not assuming anything. And we think, you know, with a full year out of Gosman and Bundy and the 4 other guys we've got, you know, we got a chance to be, I think, an improved pitching staff. I think that's very encouraging for me. We got some decisions to make where Trumbo and Wieters and Pedro come into play, and of course Steve Pierce is out there too. So there's some things that are going to move very quickly here after the the World Series is over. So you got to stay on top of it, and you know, we're trying to do that right now. And what do you think our biggest need is, Dave?
Well, clearly, I think you're at a position
Clearly, I want to hear this.
Well, you said it. You know, you already look like you got a couple of guys that are going to come back with their experience that they had and the health that looks like behind some of those guys. Your rotation, just looking at the 3 younger guys, and I'm counting Tillman just because he's not a free agent yet. Bundy and Gosman, it looks like those guys are on their way to be a real big part of that rotation, which should be better next year if health is a good thing.
You know, I've got some people probably around baseball, you know, might roll their eyes, but I really think our pitching got a chance to be a strength next year. I do. And you've got with Miley and Jimenez and Gardo all on contract years, and the other 3, you know, have a ceiling above what they even did this year. I think Chris can even take it to another level. You know, a loss we had this year, a lot of people kind of didn't remember, was Joey Rickard. You know, we had that leadoff guy, especially against left-handed pitching, and a good defender that we were able to do some things with. And getting Joey back next year would be meaningful to us. And we're always going to look from within, whether it's where is Trey Mancini in his career, where is Chance Sisco in his career. You know, and a Rickard's still only 25 years old, and you know, yet to see what's going to happen at the catching position, but we think Jonathan Scope can take it to another level. So we're always going to dwell on people we have here before we start coveting everybody else's players, because everybody's got pimples, everybody's got hiccups. You're going to get some of these guys and you think you had to have, and you go, wait a minute, I didn't realize you couldn't do that.
All right, Buck, listen, let's hope that the 7th annual Trick-or-Trot is a huge success. You've got
good weather. You're going to have good weather.
You get good weather, you're high-fiving 1,000 people, and we'll catch up with you before the winter meetings.
Guys, I appreciate you having us on. It means a lot to us because it helps spread the word, because we know how many people listen to you guys, and having us on will help some people directly, and we appreciate you having us. Thanks for your time.
Our pleasure, Buck.
Okay,
Don't forget, you can register for the Trick-or-Trot for Saturday, going at Orioles.com/KidsPeace, and all proceeds go to KidsPeace Foster Care.